Everyone. Welcome back. We are actually back for Ruse Day Tuesday. I'm your host, Ruth Ann Thompson of Geek Chic Promotions. So this is still a little rough. We're just really excited to be coming back with Geek Chic Promotions. We have so many plans for so many new podcasts and all that kind of stuff. But we want to start with the classics here. And then, of course, once you join our Substack, so I'll be putting the link and all that in the comments and whatnot. So please join our Substack and whatnot, because we're going to have not only more podcasts, we're going to have a newsletter. There's going to be so much more going on in the Geek Chic world. But I'm just so excited to be here with all of you guys. It made me really happy that at San Diego Comic-Con this year, I actually had somebody come up and say that they really missed Ruse Day Tuesday and they wanted it back. So, and I mean, what is Ruse Day Tuesday or Geek Chic Promotions without some technical difficulties? So I want to bring up to make sure that I can see everybody's chat, everything like that. Swipe left to reveal comments. All right, there's no comments or reactions yet. That's why. All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So I have been watching so much stuff. Obviously, it's been a pretty crazy last 3 years since I hung out with you all for Ruse Day Tuesday. Obviously, I'm in a whole new place. Everybody is in a very new place in their lives, in the world, and my heart goes out to everybody that's dealt with all sorts of stuff since the beginning of this pandemic. And there's been a lot of wonderful TV and movies to watch, but now we're in the middle of a strike, and I'm in huge support of all of our writers and our SAG and AFTRA members. And so I'm just looking forward to this coming to an end, that we can have all of our people paid correctly and not have their stuff stolen by AI. That would be nice. Would it be nice if AI was used as like a tool to help instead of destroying the creativity and the well-being of people? That'd be great. Thanks. Anyways, so lots of really fun stuff I've been watching and whatnot. So I'm really excited about this latest season of Good Omens. So to kind of work my way up to talking about Good Omens season 2. So I won't do any spoilers because it only just dropped this past weekend, and I am terrible at catching up at shows. So I'd hate to ruin it for anybody else. So Good Omens has a really, really special place in my heart because that is a book that me and my mom read together when I was 11, 12, something like that. And for those who follow me, you might know that I actually went to go take care of my parents, my mom and my stepdad, in 2021. They were very, very sick, very, very seeming close to the end. So I went out and basically was their caretaker for 4 months in Oklahoma. And it was rough, but it was beautiful. I was really glad that I could be there for them. And my stepdad ended up lasting a whole nother year after that. So not to say that that's because I was there, but whatever. And there was no internet. But I was really wanting to have something with my mom to connect at night because we didn't have much to do with being in Oklahoma, being the pandemic, and my stepdad and her very sick. So I realized that she had not seen the Good Omens TV show, which I had already been obsessed with. I think it came out in 2019, 2020, something like that. I've watched it so many times. I cannot get enough of it. I love the book. I love Neil Gaiman. I cannot tell you how much I love having those two actors together, playing the roles together. Oh my God, I'm so obsessed. They're so good. They're so perfect for the roles of Crowley and wow, I'm blanking on his name now, but they're just so perfect. So I was so excited to show it to my mom. My mom loved it so much. I had to buy it on Blu-ray, showed it to her. She loved it so much. She was like, can we watch it again? I was like, absolutely, let's go. Little side note, that did get my mom addicted to David Tennant to the point where I was able to introduce her to Doctor Who. So thank you very much. I'm hoping to have my mom on here at some points talking about Doctor Who, because I haven't told her yet that David Tennant is back as Doctor Who, and I can't wait for her to find out. Anyway, so I've been really excited about watching this season. I've been worried about it since there is no book to go off of, and we've seen what can happen to shows if people love it so much and they try to go literally off book. I mean, look at Game of Thrones, look at this, look at that. And it's just, it's not good. So I was nervous walking into this season but the thing is all that we really wanted was more of them together, just the two of them in history together. And that's exactly what this season is. So if you guys haven't watched it and that's what you're looking for, it's way more chill. There's not as much going on. There's not as many characters to deal with. which for some might be better, for some worse, because I loved all the plot points that was going on in Good Omens season 1, especially how well it stayed true to the book. So I loved it. I love this season. I was heartbroken with how it ended. So like no spoilers, but I hate the way it ended. I hate it. And I think I hate it more because I know the strikes are going on and I know that this show might never come back. And I want it back. I want it back. I want it back so bad. It's just them living their lives and doing their thing. And it's so much fun. So if you haven't watched the season and that was your favorite part of season 1, absolutely watch it right away. Now, Witcher. So a lot of people fell off Witcher, even with the last season, not even this weird 2-parter season, but the season before. I'm still on board. You know, I never played the video games or read the books, so my apologies if it's not like on the same like level as those things, but I love it. Oh, hello, Akobe. Thank you for joining again. Welcome back. Yes, so we're talking about Witcher season 3, I guess we can call it, even though it was broken up into 2 parts. They just dropped the last 3 episodes this past week and watched them. I like it. It's just, I love me some high fantasy. And I'd love everybody else's thoughts and comments about this, because I think one of the things a lot of people are talking about is, you know, with Secret Invasion and other Marvel movies, like they were getting superhero fatigue, or we're getting blah fatigue. So do people feel like they're getting a Witcher fatigue, or is it that there's just not the heart that there was? I don't know, like it just doesn't feel the same as like the first seasons and whatnot. And my fear is that our industry has hit this point, and not even like excluding the AI and the CGI and all that kind of stuff, but specifically talking on the fact that like we're pushing things to go too quickly because of our binge culture. Like I have this feeling when it comes to the Star Wars prequels, because I really did, I know I'm in the minority, I really did love Force Awakens. I loved it. It had a lot of heart. Yes, it wasn't my original series. My original series is always going to live like very deep in my soul, but it gave me enough of a flavor of the old series while bringing it into this new one. And with Rey and Poe and Finn, like I loved it. The misstep I feel with the whole franchise, it is not just leaving it to J.J. Abrams. I know everybody has their things about J.J. Abrams, but he does love Star Wars, and like he loves it so much. So I just feel like if we didn't force him to try to do it year after year after year, he would have stuck with it. But like that's a lot to ask of a director or any human, to like take that much time out of their life and away from their family and working probably crazy hours to get like the first movie done, and they like turn around, okay, like a week off now, go. I feel like that's where we're losing a lot of the magic in movie magic, TV magic, all that kind of stuff, is because we're such a binge culture and we want it right now, and we want the whole thing right now, and we want the sequel, the prequel, the betweenquel. We want it right now. I feel like we're losing the magic because we're turning everybody into machines, aka why AI doesn't work. So that's what I feel about this last season of Witcher. I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. I mean, it's the only time I find Henry Cavill attractive. I don't know what to tell you. It's true. That is just, I don't know why, but it's the only time I find Henry Cavill attractive. And yeah, the whole cast is just glorious. I love us dealing with, we actually go more into the bisexuality, pansexuality, whatever, of our favorite bard in this series, which I really appreciate as well. Okay, Akobe says, why a lot of people didn't like it is they strayed away from the source material, and Henry Cavill was a huge Witcher nerd, and so much didn't feel like The Witcher. I did feel that, absolutely. Like even without watching or playing the video games, reading the books, all that kind of stuff, I did feel like it was farther away from what I saw in the first season. So I think that's interesting that even without like knowing that stuff, I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel like The Witcher. Like Henry Cavill himself as playing The Witcher, like he felt there was too much character change between the seasons, you know, like he was so much more like human than he was in the first season, especially. But I can totally understand that, Akobe. That makes a lot of sense. But I suggest watching it. I mean, or just saving it, because guys, we have to start rationing our content, because we are going to be missing out. There's going to be no content for like a year. Once this strike is even once the strike is done, it doesn't mean content like appears. Like it has to be written, it has to be filmed, it has to be acted out. So just try your best, because I know we have Ahsoka next, and that's what we watch. I know Chris is gonna watch that too, so we're gonna have that talk about that on Nerd Rage as well as on this show for Ruesday Tuesday. And then and Akobe also wanted to add, only thing they got right and listening to the fans was the ball sack armor from season 1. Yeah, I did. I heard about that. That's pretty great. So, but yeah, so I suggest watching Witcher or saving it until like you're just so desperate for nerd content that you're like, oh, I'll put on Witcher, whatever. It's good. I enjoyed it. I like me some witchy stuff. I'm on board. And then Akobe said, I know Henry is wanting to do 007. He's working with Amazon to do a Warhammer 40K series. Yes, that brings me a lot of joy, because like I'm not a huge like Warhammer 40K fan, but that's only because I couldn't afford to buy all the figurines and stuff. I used to paint my friends' figurines all the time. We'd have painting parties. It was great. And then we played, but I didn't own my own. So I love the fact that because that's where we get really good stuff. And that's what we find even in this new generation of film, TV, geek pop culture stuff, is that it's when the professionals are huge fans of it and have like some sort of control, it's when it's just so much better. I mean, Favreau and Filoni, all those guys are really look at the guys over at Star Trek, and is this a perfect segue? This might be a perfect segue into Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, but it's gonna be. And that was a really amazing moment for me at San Diego Comic-Con. So I'm working with an artist as a brand manager, and he does all of the enterprises. And as soon as Picard season 3 landed, he did his own versions of it. I know Akobe, sorry to step back a little bit with Akobe, the Witcher thing, he talked about the types of enemies and such. Is so cool to see a nerd just like us. It's so, even in this age where we have like internet and social media and everybody's very, very geek pop culture, like nerds took over the world. It's great. It does suck though that we don't feel that connected to the people, making the content as much, but we are feeling it with Henry Cavill. And now, like, going back to at San Diego Comic-Con, at the booth we were working, and first it was an editor of Picard that came because he saw the posts I had done about the latest Enterprise G that the artist that I was working with did, and he was like, I'm going to tell everybody to come here. And we're like, okay, that's great. But then the showrunner came, Terry, and he was so awesome. And I was like, I was playing it really cool, and his girlfriend kept pointing me like, you know who he is? I was like, I know, I'm trying to play cool, girl. Like, give me a second. And then finally I was just like, I can't thank you enough, because what we got to see, especially in Picard season 3, was everything I'd ever wanted as a Star Trek fan. Who I grew up on Next Generation, me, my mom, my dad. That was the one show we would make dinner and sit down at 7:00 every night Eastern time to watch Next Generation. It made me so happy. And I am also loving Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds is definitely my favorite of the new Star Trek. Like, I consider Picard Next Generation season 11 or whatever, but it was so good. And Strange New Worlds does something so perfect. Like, there are so many casting choices that I did love about Discovery. I have my thoughts about Discovery. We can discuss that on another Ruesday Tuesday, maybe next week, since we probably won't have time this week. But I love our Spock. I am obsessed with our Spike as well. Spike, wow. Pike. Obsessed with Pike, obsessed with number 1. She looks like she walked off the set of the first Star Trek episode, but it was actually the pilot episode where the number 1, the female number 1, was it. She looks exactly like her. I love everything about it. I love in this season of Strange New Worlds, so season 3. I know, yes, Akobe, I did accidentally bring up a Cowboy Bebop character. There's too much nerd in my brain. So I love Strange New Worlds. I love this season particularly. They're putting a little bit of the goof in it, which I love, because if you go back and watch any sci-fi from like the 60s, 70s, all that kind of stuff, there's this little bit of like innocence and kind of like it's a little too sparkly sometimes, like the way they talk. I loved it. And oh my God, did I love the crossover with Lower Decks. It was perfection. There was so many stuff that I found out afterwards that made it even better. So, like, again, no spoilers on this. I have been told forever that I must watch Lower Decks, and I know, but like, it's one of those things. I have this weird, like, hipster nerd part of me that if too many people tell me I need to watch something, I'm like, well, I don't think I'll like it then. Too many people like it. Like, I like stuff that other people like. I can't get I don't know what it is. I'm trying to get better for my guys. I'm working on it. But after watching this episode of the crossover, I have to watch Lower Decks. I have to. It's so up my alley, and it's so up my alley with the very, very specific references in everything. Oh, if you haven't watched this episode, it's like, I didn't know if you fell into a wormhole and ended up in dystopian, what was it, dystopian San Francisco during the Bell riots, like all these very specific references that you'd have to, the only way you know it is if you watch every episode of every Star Trek show, like of DS9, all this kind of stuff. And like, and Akove also mentioned old school sci-fi stuff is such a vibe. It is such a vibe. And I love that we're getting more like enjoying the 60s, like kind of version of the old school sci-fi. It's so fun. It's so fun. And I love the whole episode. So there's a couple things that I didn't know that is just so brilliant. So when they brought in the Lower Decks crew, like a couple of the lines they did were complete improv and they just rolled with it. And so I noticed this right away. Like the person watching with me is like, oh, I'm glad you caught that. So whenever the character from Lower Decks, he goes to like sit on the saddle that's like in this one office, he says, Riker. And he does it because for those of you who are not obsessed with Star Trek Next Generation like I was, Riker can never sit down in a chair normal. He always has to like saddle it. It was so good. What I didn't know is that actor absolutely just ad-lib that line in front of actual Riker. Like I knew that Jonathan Frakes was directing the episode, but can you imagine that you got to do a joke about your idol in front of your idol while you're filming on your idol's show? Like mind blow. I would not be able to function. And the other line, a couple lines that apparently were ad-libbed, and I'm so glad that the actors were able to keep it together and like so they were able to use it, was when the girl from Lower Decks was like, I was not expecting like young Spock to be so hot. And like hot young Spock, and like just that continuation of that. Brilliant. So I'm gonna have to watch Lower Decks. So that's gonna be something I'll definitely be talking about here on Ruesday Tuesday. I'm very stoked about that. I've loved all of it. I actually have one episode I need to catch up on. It's just too good. It's too much fun. It's giving me so much joy to see good stuff of, because like usually it felt like, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was so much stuff that we were just watching because it was like reminiscent of the things that we loved, but it just wasn't hitting the mark. So you just go back and rewatch, the old school stuff that you love. But now, like, I get legitimately excited about sitting down to watch the episode as soon as it airs. And I love that Strange New Worlds is doing the week by week thing. I love that anticipation. And also my sleep pattern definitely enjoys it better because whenever stuff drops the whole season, I can't sleep. I have to watch it. I have to watch it right then and there. Like I'm too much of a complete, I just has to. So loving that style of it. And so just so you guys know, for like more announcements, as I've been hinting about over and over again, when it comes to Geek Chic Promotions. So please join our Substack. Please subscribe to that because we're going to have, not only these shows are going to air there as well, there's going to be notes from me and Chris. There's going to be newsletters. We're adding a lot more podcasts, one of which I'm actually going to start recording very soon. Before I get into that, let me check in with Akove. He says early 90s and early 2000s had some good stuff, but not that compared to the 60s and 80s. Agreed. Like there was little nuggets here and there in the 2000s, but like it's so funny. Like I just watched the old commercial for when Enterprise first started. And I remember I was in high school and I was so excited because I thought it was going to be like my Star Trek. I was so pumped. Me and my friends got together. We got popcorn. We had the whole thing. And then literally as soon as that opening song for the credits came on, I was like, we're all like, boo, throwing pop with that terrible guitar, like whiny singing voice. No, it's fair. I was very mad about that. Anyways. But now we have really good stuff coming up because all the people like me who love that stuff are now professionals, and it's great. Everything's great. So that's really good. And speaking of like stuff that I grew up on, for those who don't follow me on social media, I had a pretty crazy few weeks because right before San Diego Comic-Con was going to be my 20-year high school reunion. And at first I was like, oh, that's going to be too much stuff. And then a week or two before it happened, I was like, you know what? You don't get to do your 20-year like high school reunion very often. Let's do it. And I found like cheap tickets to fly home to Vermont. I was so pumped. The week before the reunion, and it was our class president created this really cool event that was actually going to be all of the alumni that has ever gone to Montpelier High School because it's such a tiny school. There just wasn't like, there's only 90 of us who graduated. So very few of us would show up. So I love the fact that it was going to be this whole like, citywide thing. But then the terrible rains happened in the beginning of July. So literally the week beforehand, my hometown got decimated, terrible flooding. And there's several towns on the East Coast and New England as well. I'm obviously just focusing on my hometown. It was really bad. So instead of going home for my reunion, I actually went home for flood relief, which was great. Now I'm headed back to Vermont. The original plan was to go see my dad in Adam's Family playing Lurch. Oh my God, he looked so good as Lurch, guys. I was so excited. But now that the flooding happened, it's canceled. So I'm not going to be able to see my dad in a play. But now my mom, my sisters, everybody's coming into town anyway. So I get to see my family. So it's going to be great. I'm also going to do some more flood relief. But within that, I'm going to be starting a new podcast that I'm actually going to be interviewing my friends, family, basically starting a documentary kind of style podcast, I guess, about me and my life, because I have had kind of a crazy life. And a lot of people keep saying, you need to write a book, you need to da-da-da-da-da-da. But to me, it seems too self-obsessed for me to write a book about like me and my life and how I came to be who I am. So instead, I'm going to do it through interviews. And because I really want, my family is amazing. Like each society really pays attention to anymore because it's all about, money and power. And then I'm like, it's not about that. Like these people have been through some crazy, amazing stuff and are amazing, beautiful people. And I can't wait for you all to meet them. But so that's going to be one of our things that's going to be only on our Substack. I'll do like little videos here and there to kind of like show you guys what's going on and all that kind of stuff here on Facebook, YouTube, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to be doing it on our Substack. So I'm really excited about it. Don't worry, I'll get a hold of this technology situation eventually. So it's not like all this kind of crazy stuff. Oh, and Akobe, no, they were not able to reschedule my dad's play. The only thing they were able to do was do a couple performances, not this past weekend, the weekend before, when I was at San Diego Comic-Con at another theater a few towns over. So I was only able to get like a couple pictures of him, but I do sing and perform with my dad. So I'm hoping I've got a couple songs that I sent him that we could, new songs for us to learn because I've been singing with him since I was like 6. But so hopefully we'll have some sort of performance when I'm there, and I promise I'll record it, I'll film it, and I'll post it and all that. So again, please follow us on our Substack. I'm kind of excited and nervous for you guys to get to know all of me and my friends and family. And so it's going to be called Pin in It, because if anybody knows me, I start telling stories and things start going off the rails because I have to go, sorry, we have to put a pin in that. Let me get to the actual point of the story I was trying to tell because my life is just so wild. But thank you so much, Akobe, everybody else who's been watching and commenting along, and I'll be checking the comments throughout. But I need to go pack and head to Montpelier, Vermont tonight to spend a week in Vermont with my family and starting to help with the flood cleanup. So thank you all so much for joining. Make sure to like, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on Substack because we're going to have a lot more coming your way. And Just have a wonderful, beautiful day, everybody. Take care.